Who is your daddy?
I am your father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?
Well, I am relegated to our laundry room.
Oh, there you
go. Mother-in-law's in town, which means she gets our daughter's bedroom.
Gotcha.
Which means she has moved into our bedroom. She brought a mattress in from her bed, put it on the floor.
Cool.
Which means I can't record in there. That's usually my main spot. If it's quiet in the house, I love recording out in the main room. There's a nice breeze. It doesn't get too hot and sweaty out there. It's obviously way too busy for that.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking around. Everyone's back. My boys are back from their trips. My mother-in-law's in town visiting. Everyone's here.
All the rooms are occupied.
And my wife was like, "You can go to the garage or the laundry room. Everything else is."
Those are my choices.
I was like, "Well, all right." So it's gonna be relatively quiet. I highly anticipate at some point within the first 10 or 15 minutes of the episode here, I highly anticipate some kids to come busting through here to grab something. I feel like laundry room is always, I got to get jammies or something. So something's going to happen. So just expect it.
So not the drawers in their room, but they just run into the laundry. Okay.
Oh, gotcha. Dude, that's because, okay. So my wife changed things about a year and a half ago, I think. Yeah. So our boys, we've got 4 boys.
Yep.
Hang on. I already hear it, Daddy.
Yep, I heard it.
Okay. My wife's defending me. See, she's great. Okay, so our 4 boys are completely capable of carrying a clothes basket to a room, putting them in the appropriate drawers, bringing their dirty clothes back to the laundry. Mom does all the laundry and folds it for them. They're capable of doing this. They have yet to actually do it. So she got to the point where she was like, "I'm tired of hauling these baskets back and forth." So we just put up these what do you call them? Crates, I guess.
I think I see them.
They're like cubbies. You can kind of see them on the side here.
Oh, hello.
There she is. There's the mastermind behind it all. Yeah,
I'm Dan.
So yeah, all the boys' clothes are in these cubbies back here, and so they don't even have dressers in their room for clothes anymore. They just have to come get clothes from in here.
See, I would just be a jerk. I wouldn't even wash their clothes. I wouldn't put it anywhere. I'd be like, "You guys figure it out."
Yep, it's true.
Time to grow up.
Right, Shep? No dresser anymore?
No? Where are your clothes going, buddy?
Where do your clothes go? Just on the shelves over here?
Did you get clothes?
All right.
What an easy life.
I know. He's living large. All right. Well, anyway, don't know what's going on with Derek. He apparently had a hot date tonight. So
he's taking weird pictures as usual. It's gross. I hate it.
If that guy sends me one more shirtless picture with some sort of Snapchat filter or whatever, I think that's it.
First he sent it to us as if like we need to approve, and then
he posted it on the group. Yeah.
It's like, all right.
That's like, hey, their reaction was pretty bad, so I'm going to share this with everybody.
He's just gauging, and he knows what's going to happen, but he doesn't care.
And I'm sorry, but friendship might be over if I get one more shirtless pic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, might be it.
You know what? Just out of spite, this absolutely is going to be a Stranger Things / MasterChef spoiler cast episode.
Oh, all right. That sounds great. Let's do that.
We're doing that right now, just out of spite. Because I think
we will not talk about soccer or women's sports or Rocket League.
Nope. Yeah. So Jamie T can go to hell.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you said it first. I was gonna actually say if Derek does join us, we might go back into some of those topics. I cannot guarantee that, but for right now, we're gonna get started with just Daniel and myself. And this is episode, what are we on? 172 of Fathers of the Grind, and it is summertime. There's a lot of games out, surprisingly, that I'm super into right now. So I've got a ton of stuff that I'm playing. There's actually something that Game Scoop. You listen to Game Scoop from IGN?
I haven't in a while. I've pretty much disowned Kind of Funny, IGN, all of it. I don't listen to any of it anymore.
That's actually not a bad call. I don't like a lot of it, but a lot of it has to do with they become so preachy, both on their social media and in their podcasts. Yeah. But I think Damon has done a good job of keeping a lot of that preachiness out of his show, because Game Scoop is really Damon's show.
I like Damon.
I do too.
He's normal.
And sometimes I'll have people on the show that aren't my favorite. I don't have to name any names. There's people I don't love. But I love Damon. I think he's great. I think he always has interesting topics. He brings in fun emails. They do the fun, quiz type games. I like him a lot. So they did one recently, which was the Mount Rushmore of gaming. I think this was an email from one of their listeners. And I liked this idea. Basically, it was they explained through how the presidents were selected. And then they decided, hey, let's select video games that would fill those four roles as well. So we'll do that. But I kind of wanted to see if Derek does join us, he can chime in on that a little bit too. So we'll do Mount Rushmore of gaming. But before we do any of that, let's talk a little bit about stuff that we're playing, especially if it's stuff that we know our buddy Shirtless Teague won't like. What are some things that you've been playing recently?
Well, I feel like a broken record. I was kind of busy-ish last week, so mostly still playing Super Mario Maker 2.
Yeah, man, so good.
Dan Phillips was busting my balls about my levels in the group, so I made him a level specifically just for him.
I saw it was actually named a level for Dan or something.
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
a simple level for Dan. So,
simple level for Dan.
Yeah, so he seemed appreciative. I don't know if he's played it yet, so that was for you, Dan Phillips, since apparently you hate my stages.
Did he complete it? Did you confirm?
The one I made for him?
Yeah.
I don't think he's played it yet.
All right. Well,
but I'm waiting. So.
All right. That's like sending someone flowers and like, I'll get to him.
Yeah. I'll water them eventually.
I'll get to him at some point.
And
all right.
Dead, so.
Pressure's on, Dan Phillips.
But yeah, I do play Rocket League also. So I like Rocket League a lot. It's a good palate cleanser, which I know we've mentioned before. So
yeah.
And I was playing Mortal Kombat a little bit earlier. There's a new event going on. They do sort of that like kind of season thing where like essentially there's unique costumes and items that you can get. That's the event's going on for a certain amount of days. So you go on and you fight people and then you kind of like level up, so to speak.
Gotcha.
And as you're leveling up, then you're unlocking this 3 costumes for three different characters. So as you're leveling up, you're unlocking the different sort of levels to keep going up to unlock all 3 of the outfits and other things. So
they've really done a lot of that with all the criticism that comes out about loot boxes and stuff. They've done a lot of here's a ton of stuff for you to unlock.
Yeah. I've unlocked a lot, but there's like still a lot. Like there's still a lot that I have to unlock. And I'm like, I feel like I've been running around the crypt for a while, and it seems like most of the chests are open, but there's still a lot of costumes. So I don't know if I'm missing something.
Yeah.
But whatever, it's still fun. So I love Mortal Kombat.
Nice.
And the Oninaki demo.
Yeah. I was going to talk about that too. Why don't you tell me your thoughts first? Did you play as much as you were able to? Did you kind of like play till I get it and then you're done? Like, how do you handle that one?
Well, because it's an RPG, and I'm super into RPGs. Sorry.
Kale. All right, so real quick before you talk about Oninaki, my oldest son always thinks it's funny to come in and do little dances and make faces, but he didn't realize that the baby followed him in, and thought he was welcome, which he is not. Okay,
sure.
Fathers in the grind does not mean that I'm going to be a good father during the show. So anyway, and that's why I made this face at him, like, what are you doing? Why are you bringing him in here? He's like, oh, my bad. And as he pulls him out, of course, baby starts losing his mind.
Yep. Well,
it would suck to be a baby. All right, you can't talk, so you just cry. All you can do is cry.
Yeah. It's just just emotions.
Yeah, it's just if I don't like what's happening, I'm gonna cry. Otherwise, I'll be mostly quiet.
It's emotions that turn into sounds that
I might have to mute my mic here in a second while you talk about Oninaki till he gets baby crying. All right, so tell me more what you think about Oninaki. Go.
Okay, I'll do my best. So it seems interesting. It's definitely from what I can tell, a jump from I Am Setsuna. I never did play Lost Sphere, so I can't compare it to Lost Sphere.
I just did the demo for that one. I never played the whole thing.
Yeah, I didn't even play the demo, to be honest.
Oh, you didn't?
No, I don't know why. I don't think I got around to it. And then once like the reviews started coming out, it seemed kind of mediocre. Like it wasn't enough of a jump from I Am Setsuna, so I was like, I'm not spending $50 on it, because I think it was $50.
Probably even less than mediocre, right? I feel like Setsuna was somewhere in like that 7 to 7.5 range, and Lost Spheres seemed to get more in the 6.
Yeah.
Range.
So I didn't feel like giving it a shot, I guess, and also the price wasn't really like it was $50.
That was ridiculous, man.
So I was like, that doesn't seem worth it to me. So I can't compare it to Lost Sphere, but compared to I Am Setsuna, it definitely seems like a big jump. Somewhat similar art style, but definitely a bit more detailed. And there's actual like cutscenes now. Like it's not just always sort of that top down, sort of slightly angled view. Like the camera is sort of like, facing the characters, and the camera's moving around, and you're seeing some emotion on their faces. So it seems like they put more effort, and there's like a bigger budget with it.
For sure. And the music is once again quite good. I love
absolutely.
I love the Setsuna music, but it did get a little bit overly just a piano making you feel sad after a while. So this one seems a little more orchestrated, a little more to it. I do like that part of it.
One of the main things that I had read that I'm super interested, that definitely makes it seem like I need to play this game, is Takashi Tokita, who served as director and scenario writer on Chrono Trigger, is the creative producer for this game.
It kind of shows. I mean, it reminds me, it kind of looks like if they were to do a full, high resolution remaster or whatever of Chrono Trigger, it would be this type of art style, I think. I feel like it would look, it's nice and sharp. It looks really good. Of course, this is an action RPG, so it's different.
Right. But I definitely like the vibes. I didn't play a lot of it because, and I think I was starting to say that before, I didn't want to play it fully because it's an RPG and I want to play it fresh, like when I actually buy it.
Gotcha.
I don't want to.
The demo does carry over though.
Right, but I don't want to play like the hour or two or however long it is,
and then
like
again.
That just seems, that's like reading the first chapter of a book or something, and then like not reading the rest of it until like a month or two later.
That's why I have resisted reading any of the chapters that George Martin has put out for his Winds of Winter next book. He keeps putting out chapters. I think he's put out probably 3 chapters or more. I don't know.
Has he?
I think so.
I didn't know he was doing that. That's weird.
Or maybe it's just 2 chapters, but he's put out a couple chapters, and I'm not interested, man. This isn't gonna, I won't remember any of this. Yeah. I know your book's not coming out for 5 years. So
I played enough of it to get the vibes. The combat's not super complicated, but it seems like it's, fun.
It depends on the other demons you can recruit. So the main crux of the game is, of course, you've got some kind of weapon. So your main character uses a sword or whatever. I'm not sure if you can use different weapons or not, but you can definitely use a sword. And then you've got this kind of spirit they call a demon that kind of floats around with you, and it has its own set of special moves. You can equip things on it. You can upgrade their skills and add new skills to what they can do. And then they also give you skills. So there's like, if you hit A play on the Switch demo, but I saw on the PlayStation, I guess that'd be the circle button. You will activate whatever, I think it's like a gale wind slash or whatever it is kind of the move to start.
It's gonna be a unique ability to each demon, I would assume.
Yeah, and I think you can swap them out. Like as you upgrade their moves, maybe you want a different AoE thing or whatever else.
Well, when you look in the options, there's actually so circle's the first skill, but then it goes up to skill 4. With the triangle button, R1 button, and R2. So I guess you'll be able to do up to 4.
That's right. Because I wanted to try to map some stuff, and I was like, I don't have anything to map.
Yeah. But yeah, I would assume you're going to learn other abilities and swap in and out. So
yeah, I mean, and the enemies aren't super, amazingly complex or anything yet. As far as like how does it play? It plays fine. It kind of got that isometric action RPG vibe to it a little bit as you're playing. There's not really a lock-on system because of the camera angle that you're stuck at the whole time. So I'm not sure a lock-on system would help. Right. But it feels fine. Like swinging your sword and doing your specials feels good. I beat a couple little, I guess, kind of stronger enemies. Not really a boss or anything yet. I fought something that looked kind of like a boss. Yeah. And then they have a whole system where, so your main role is essentially to help escort souls on the other side of life. Yeah, and you're making sure that these 2 realms are in balance. And so you can eventually, pretty early in the game, you can switch back and forth between the 2 different realms. So here's kind of like the main light world, everything's bright and colorful, and then there's kind of the spirit realm where everything's dark and glowing. And I'm sure that's going to come in as well. So anyway, I'm enjoying it. I don't know about you, but it's one of those ones that I feel like, this is pretty fun. I can see myself playing it. As soon as I see this thing on sale, I'll probably grab it. But it doesn't strike me as, I need to drop, Fire Emblem and everything else I'm going to be playing for this. It doesn't strike me as that necessarily.
Okay. I think I'm actually, because this is going to be $50 also, I'm definitely going to get it immediately.
Seems pretty great.
Yeah. The story seems very dark.
Yeah.
Very sad.
But interesting too. Like they caught me
Yes.
with the story a little bit at the beginning. I won't give it too much
Yeah.
away in case you guys play it. But the demo, by the way, is available on PS4 and Switch. Probably, I would assume, on Steam as well, because I think those are the 3 systems the game is releasing on. So go grab the demo. It's available now. Game doesn't come out until August, I think 22nd. was the release date.
22nd, yeah.
So go check that one out. And by the way, Derek has joined us, but I think we should go ahead and wrap up before he can say anything.
That sounds perfect.
Well, at least he has a shirt on, so
Yeah.
at least there's that.
I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, thank God.
Well,
Derek,
you guys are grateful, but others might be sad.
Derek, you can't say anything about Rocket League or women's soccer or equal pay. All right.
Yep. Nope.
Pretty much sums up the only thing I have to talk about this week.
Okay,
Well,
bye.
I'm pretty sure you. I'm pretty sure
bye.
you did try the Oninaki demo, didn't you?
I did. I downloaded it on the Superior PC Master Race.
Oh, because so we each got 2. I'm guessing Daniel, you played on PS4.
Yes.
I played it on Switch. I thought it looked fine, but I'm guessing that on a big screen where it just looked okay, I'm guessing it looks much better on.
I have a feeling
the other
like
2 systems.
because I told you how much I love my my little Sony monitor that I use for my Switch. I think it makes every Switch game, and I'll talk about it again with Fire Emblem. I think it makes it look amazing. I bet you if I downloaded the demo on the Switch, I'd probably be like, it looks, as far as the vibrant colors and the fact that that game isn't like this AAA, huge budget game. It's just, this RPG that I think at 1080p or 2160p
Would look
you're
great.
not going to tell the difference that much. That's not one of those type of games. It relies more on the art style than it does on the high fidelity graphics and stuff like that. So anyways, I played it on PC. I didn't play much, the same as Daniel, even though I knew that I did know the save carries over. So anything you do carries over if you buy the main game. I don't know if
I'm
I'm
gonna grab
buying
a
it
drink. You guys keep going. I'm gonna grab a drink.
Okay. Yeah, we don't really need you anyways. You're kind of trash. But so I don't know if I'm going to buy it on PC. This is definitely a day one for me. In the first 5 minutes that I played it, I was like, I just love the art style.
Yeah.
I love the setting. I liked how dark it was. It seemed like it had a dark tone to it.
Yeah.
So I think this is a no-brainer for me. Probably not going to buy it on the PS. I don't know. Maybe I will buy it on the PS4. It's wherever I can get it cheaper, so it might end up being PC. But I think this would be a good Switch game, too. I think this is, again, because it's not a game that you would like. For instance, I'll use Mortal Kombat 11 as an example. I have all the consoles. I have the PC. There's no way I'm buying Mortal Kombat 11 on the Switch compared to a console. Even though I understand the Switch, I can play on the go. But this game, I would. So I don't know. I have to figure out where I'm going to buy it at.
Yeah.
Or like what console, PS4, PC, or Switch. But I'm definitely going to get it. I like what I
It almost reminds me a little bit of a game that could have been made by the Transistor and Bastion folks a little bit.
Yeah. I definitely think
it feels.
I definitely feel like they pulled from a lot of other games. I think they took the feedback from their first 2 games. I think the first 2 games were solid. I never got into them, so I'm not going to sit here and act like I played through them. No, I didn't. I played what was the first one called again?
I am
Setsuna.
Setsuna.
I played that one for a couple hours, and I was like, I don't really care. And then the other one I didn't even really touch. So this is the first one that I'm like, okay, just playing a little bit of it. I was like, this is more my style.
Oh, I am Setsuna actually had a pretty satisfying ending to that story. I thought it was
Oh,
pretty
I'm
good.
sure it did. I just, you know what? I like turn-based, but I don't like. And we're gonna.
It was very
talk
traditional.
About, we're gonna talk about turn-based in a second, but I like it, but I don't.
And there were bosses you hit that you're like, you know what? I got to go back and grind to get higher leveled here a little bit. So it certainly felt unnecessarily drawn out in that respect, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm glad you came back to it, Tim. Like Daniel and I were really sad while you were gone.
I bet.
I
bet you were.
I shed many tears.
All right, so what else are we talking about besides trash indie JRPG?
Well, we haven't gotten into Fire Emblem Three Houses yet.
Hold on, indie? It's Square Enix. You dumb, stupid man.
If it looks indie, it is indie.
Look at your dumb face. I just want to punch
well,
you.
Listen. Speaking of indie games, on the Switch, I downloaded Doom 1, 2, and 3. Those are
That's
indie
old
games,
school.
right?
Yeah,
Those are-
absolutely.
Yeah, I thought so.
Speaking of dumb faces, you guys don't like the guy that I keep posting on your chats.
I don't understand who these people are. Yeah, I don't
I have
get
no
I don't get
idea.
the joke.
I have no idea.
Me, Alan, and Sasan just keep posting his face, and
Yeah,
then
you can't.
I grabbed his screenshot, and then I put him in that app where you can change his gender. So I gave him a
Sure.
beard and then turned him into a woman.
Sure. Still don't know who he is though. I have no idea.
Oh, you got to watch the video. I can't spoil it for
Yeah,
you.
no, you
gotta
guys,
watch the
you guys
video.
can't keep bringing up inside jokes and other conversations and
I
expecting us all to get
100%
it.
can because I laugh at it and I don't care if other people are laughing.
Yeah.
At it. Other people are like, "You're stupid."
Well, just spoiler alert, we're not. Okay, so I saw on the e-store, I didn't realize I hadn't put together that this is, I guess, QuakeCon going on right now.
Oh, okay, sure.
And
Bunch
so
of nerds.
as part of that, they put out Doom 2, and Doom 3 across. I'm pretty sure every platform now has them.
That's pretty cool.
And Doom 1 and Doom 2 are both $5 each, and Doom 3 is $10. So for $20, you can get the 3 original Doom games. Actually, I guess I'm not sure if 3 is one of the 3 originals. I think there might have been like a Doom something. I can't remember. We need Jesse White on here to explain to us.
Doom 3 was the one on original Xbox, right?
I
that one?
want to say it was after that. I want to say
okay.
Doom 3 was 360.
It was.
I thought that was Doom 4, no? I don't
No,
know.
Doom 3 was 360.
I think Doom
Was
3 is
it?
3, and
Okay.
it looks like a 360 and PS3 game. It looks like a really good game. Anyway, so I went ahead and fired up the first Doom. Plays great. It's a lot of. Hang on, my son wants to say something. What's up?
Doom 3 is more like a horror game.
Huh?
Yeah, that's what I thought I remember.
Yeah.
What's-
So Doom 1 still plays just as amazing as I remember. I can tell you that. Doom 2, which I had never played actually, but I'd heard a lot about. That one is a lot like Doom 1, but it improves everything. It's faster. There's more enemies that give you more ammo, and they just want you to run and gun. You still can't aim vertically because you can't jump or anything like that.
Yeah.
But if you're looking straight ahead and there's an enemy in the distance that's upraised or lowered, the bullet kind of automatically goes down or up to their level.
Okay.
So it's kind of that old school adjustment. There you go, bud. Go
Yeah.
pick one out. But anyway, so I played through probably the first 3 areas on Doom 1, and that really took me back. I mean, we used to have the old, I'm pretty sure it was a red Super Nintendo cartridge for that one. And so that was a lot of fun. And then I jumped into Doom 2, and I can see now why people said this is my favorite Doom ever. It surprisingly is a lot of fun. Still very pixelated, still very, built on that same Wolfenstein type engine that we're all used to. But then I fired up Doom 3. Again, I'm on the Switch for these, of course, because I want to be able to play them on the go. I want to be able to play them while I'm sitting on the recliner and the kids are all playing Minecraft and Fortnite and everything. And so I fired up Doom 3, and I was a little bit surprised. This game still looks pretty good. Like the atmosphere and the lighting, I was relatively impressed that a game that is now, I gotta think it's 13, 15 years old, something like that. I'm pretty sure Doom 3 is not that recent.
No, it's not.
But it looks pretty good. The characters, of course, look like a couple gens ago as far as their quality, but it's pretty fun. Derek's right. It is much more of a horror game than it is a run and gun, just destroy everything. You don't have kind of that instant gore kill. But on the other hand, I found the shotgun. They give you plenty of ammo, and I am kind of running through just destroying everything, but it just doesn't, it's not quite as fast. It's a little bit slower. It's like moving a couple clicks slower than.
Well, it's like darker and more linear.
Yeah, it definitely is.
At least what I remember.
Yeah, and it is a little bit more of a horror game experience because there's a lot of jump scares and they're trying to, I don't know. It doesn't feel like the other Doom games that we're used to. It feels a little bit more like the movie version of Doom.
Is it like the one? Is there a flashlight in it? Like it's
There
super
is.
dark and okay, so
Yep.
that is the one I'm thinking. I thought that was
Yeah.
original Xbox, but I guess not.
No, you have a flashlight, which that's just part of what kind of adds, in my opinion, to some of the atmosphere and the lighting. They did a
I
pretty
think
good
that
job
was
with.
the big change that they were going for because they didn't want to just release another Doom.
Yeah.
And I think they got, I don't think it was crapped on, but I just think out of all the Dooms, it's like, this isn't Doom.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, even with the very first original Doom, it just starts you out in some weird temple-looking place, and right away you've got these gigantic dudes with big guns shooting at you, and these monsters throwing fireballs at you, and they just go right at you. And then Doom 3, it's much more of a setup where you're arriving on this base, and you have to go talk to people, and you have to walk through real slowly. You don't have a gun for a while, and then eventually all hell breaks loose, literally. And so it walks you through it slowly, much more like I think a lot of games tried to do in that era.
Yeah.
which is totally fine, but it didn't feel quite the same as Doom to me. It felt like kind of a different series altogether, honestly, because a lot of the NPCs who I just talked to as I'm going back through, they're now these kind of zombie demons or whatever else that are walking towards me, very much like zombies. So it doesn't feel like Doom so much. And then finally they start introducing some monsters again. So overall, I think it's totally worth spending $20 if you're a fan of first-person shooters, especially if you like the new Doom. This is a great walk down memory lane, and they're still pretty fun to play. Even the old pixelated versions, I think, are pretty fun to play. But you will miss things like I can't jump. I hate not being able to jump. That does suck. And not being able to aim up and down. But it simplifies the game for you. You're just aiming left and right and then strafing a ton. So I like all three of them. I think they all three are a blast to play on whatever your system of choice is. Yeah, I highly recommend them. I'm really glad they put them out for 5, 5, and 10. That was smart.
I think it's cool because considering was it the first-person shooter or is it Wolfenstein? The original Wolfenstein.
I think Wolfenstein 3D was first.
But then,
I should also say all the DLC for these are on there too. So, like for Doom 3 especially, which had a number of DLC add-ons, they're all included.
Well, basically what I was getting at is Doom is like super old school. Like it's important to history of video games and especially first-person shooters. So it's cool to be able to go and play those and then play the two new Doom games and kind of compare, because it sounds like the first two were a certain way and then the third one's very different and then the newer one's more arcadey and fast and you're jumping around. So it's cool to be able to kind of see that evolution, you know?
Yep. No, I have no problem with what they did with Doom 3. I know a lot of people are like, no, it's not the Doom I know and love. I kind of like that they experimented a little bit. But then again, I'm so glad they came back to what we know now as the Doom 2016 and soon to be Doom Eternal. Just perfect first-person experiences. They're great.
And the music is awesome.
Hey, the music in the old games is pretty cool too. A lot of crunchy MIDI guitar tracks. It's actually kind of good. I really like the little jams.
Nice.
Not bad. Derek, what are you grinning about over there?
Is inside jokes again?
It really is.
Inside jokes again?
I'm not going to say anything. It's the guy's face. It's okay. Moving on.
You've got problems. All right, so
before we need to be fired.
Before we get into our Mount Rushmore of gaming, I do want to spend a few minutes on, of course, one of the major releases this weekend. Not both of them. I did not get to Wolfenstein Youngblood yet. I don't think you guys have either.
Did you buy it?
No.
Okay.
But I also didn't realize it was that cheap. So now I'm like, well, why didn't I buy it? It's pretty cheap. So maybe I will.
I bought it on PC. I just haven't played it.
Okay. So I do plan on playing that one. I'll give you guys our impressions when we all get a chance to play it, but haven't yet. But I have, on the other hand, played Fire Emblem Three Houses. I think you guys have tried it out as well, yes?
Yes.
I have not.
Okay.
I've actually never played a Fire Emblem game.
How about we go ahead and get you off the podcast?
Yeah, sounds
that
good.
should have been like the first question we asked. Like, Dan and Frederick, we're considering hiring you for our podcast. Have you ever played Fire Emblem?
Have you ever played Fire Emblem? Favorite Zelda menu screen would have been a big one.
Yeah,
we should have asked that one. All right,
that's fine. The guy who doesn't play games ever is mocking me about games. That's fine. Jerk.
Sure, Daniel.
Go look at that guy's face. Just go look at that guy's face.
I don't want to look at your face.
Daniel actually saves money. Okay, if he knows he's not going to play it, he doesn't buy it till he knows he's going to play it. Derek just buys it.
Listen, Wolfenstein, it's going to be great. I'm gonna play it at some point. It's gonna be great. I promise you.
Hey Derek, what are your impressions of the process of buying that game? Can you give us any early impressions?
The funny thing is, I was super excited for both Fire Emblem and Wolfenstein Friday, and I didn't play either one. Well, I didn't play Wolfenstein at all, and I just played Fire Emblem like right before the show. That's why I was late. I was in the middle of a battle, and I was not quitting that battle for you.
Is that the date you were?
that was the date. All right, so Fire Emblem Three Houses, much anticipated. I think folks were pretty excited about this one when they teased it last E3, and of course when they finally revealed it, and they've been building up to it. I think we're all also pretty thrilled that it came out now. We were afraid this was going to be a game that keeps getting pushed back. So it has arrived. Fire Emblem Three Houses is here, and I think it's safe to say, while they've maintained the core of the turn-based strategy game where, swords for the most part trump axes, axes trump spears, spears trump swords, and there's a whole bunch of other triangle type systems in there. that's still there at the core. You'll still get that grid, turn-based strategy action. You still have the option of making it very difficult and turning on permadeath if you want, or you can turn it off if you don't want. But they've also really changed all the surroundings, all the trappings around the game, which usually entailed some sort of mysterious person, your main character, whoever you are, somehow encountering some big conflict between different kingdoms. And then, of course, somehow you get involved with it and you help them go back and take down the Empire. This may have some of those story beats later. I don't know. But it begins with much more of a Harry Potter vibe, if I'm being honest. The Harry Potter lore, which I don't mind at all. Like, one of my favorite things about the Harry Potter movies and books was all the stuff at the school. I thought the lore with the school and how the professors were set up and the different houses and their competitions and where they were all from, I thought that was pretty fascinating and pretty interesting. I kind of lost interest in Harry Potter a little bit at the end with all the dumb Horcrux stuff, probably because that's the stupidest name for a thing ever.
Sure.
But so anyway, this has a very similar setup where it's this big giant school that's located right in the middle of the map that's surrounded by 3 very different kingdoms with completely different leadership styles. One of them's it's an empire and has an emperor. One of them is more of a monarchy with a king, and has a line of succession. And the other one isn't even really led by a singular leader. It's more of a collection of leaders. And there's like a duke and things like that. So they're led very differently with different colors. And then those students are funneled into those houses, but they apparently have freedom to jump around to different houses if they want to. They don't have to stay there, which brings in a really interesting recruiting mechanic. Once you just select a house, you're not stuck never getting those characters in your house. You just have to work towards recruiting them. So anyway, the thing starts out with you get introduced to your character. They do a little kind of tutorial battle like you would expect. They get you to the school. They introduce you to Professor Cleavage, which is Derek's favorite, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I assume she'd be your favorite. And then you get a chance to go around, meet a bunch of the different students that are there. You talk to the heads of each house. And it's funny because your character looks like you're not like a minute older than all these students, but you're a professor, but whatever.
Sure.
And then you select which house you want to lead. And then you start going through this calendar of events. And it'll be anything from you get free time where you can wander around the school. And that goes into more of a third person kind of action type of a view. Don't get me wrong, there's no action, but it's that type of a view as you can navigate through the school, talk to characters. I think it looks pretty good. I assume, Derek, on your monitor, that game looks all right as you're running around the school.
Yeah, looks great. I love the way it looks. I mean,
Yeah.
some of the like movement and details are, a little dated.
It's a little lacking at times.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
again, when you consider what Fire Emblem, Daniel's never played Fire Emblem before, so he doesn't understand what I'm trying to say. But
Sure.
if you played any of the old Fire Emblem games, they're not like these open world, open area games. They're just like this map, and you just pick where you want to go on the map. You click on it and say, I want to fight this battle, and then you're loaded into like a little battle area.
Like it's like an old Mario Bros map.
Yeah.
Where you're connected by lines, and you have like dots on the map.
Yeah,
And-
so what I was saying is like the word I was trying to think of was like an overworld. Like, hey, this is, you just look at this map, you just click here, boom, and then you're loaded into this little battle arena. This is like an actual, like, they give you places to explore. You can do little side quests. You can just run around. You can hit on, slutty professors. You can do. I mean, I walked right to her room right away. She even said that to you. She's like, "Whoa, you're already here. I expected us to like wink at each other." This is what she said too. I expected us to like see each other in the hall and wink and say hi. I didn't expect you to come to me right away. And I was like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go, girl.
Give me 1 second, guys. I got to order this on Amazon. Just 1 second.
Yeah, because of that right there.
No, but seriously, this is.
There's some secrets to find there too. There's secret items you can find, secret quests you can unlock, things like that.
I was impressed. I haven't played a lot, but I was just like, oh, I didn't, because I didn't watch any of like the previews for this game at all. Again, they just said a new Fire Emblem and they said Nintendo Switch, and I was like, sold. I don't need to see anything else. Even if they would have just done an overworld, select your location and battle, and it just had a prettier like feel to it, I would have been like, all right, cool, this is a cool Fire Emblem game. But this feels like they went above and beyond
They really did.
so far, and
They built like a new engine for certain parts of this. It clearly is not built on any kind of old engine. Even when you're on the battlefield, now you can zoom in all the way to your character standing out in the field. If they've got a battalion of soldiers with them, which by the way is essentially like a backup or support for that character, and depending on their skills, it can add to your character's stats, which is pretty cool. But anyway, you can zoom in and see if you've got a battalion there, you're actually standing there amidst a whole group of soldiers, kind of like faceless, nameless soldiers. So it makes it feel more like an actual battlefield. Some characters are more solo; they just go do their own thing. Some characters are better at leading. They actually have a leadership skill, and if you have that, then your battalion's going to be super effective. So they've added a few extra layers to it. And when you're walking around the school, you have at the very top there's a number, and that basically tells you how many activities you can do before that day is over, before your free time is over. And so that grows as your professor skill grows. And so what happens is at first you have one. So
mine's always at 69. Always.
Of course it is.
And it does
right.
grow, but not the number.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
That's what she said.
So you can, let's say you go have a meal with two students, and you might learn something about them, like, hey, they like spicy food or sweet food or whatever else. And the more you learn about them, the more you can grow that relationship.
Oh God, you got to talk to them. All right.
You don't
I'll
have
just sell. I'll just sell Daniel my copy.
You can skip. You can skip all the conversation. You can skip all the conversations. So as you get to know them, then your connection, your relationship increases, which means that as you're fighting side by side on the battlefield, your attacks in some cases significantly increase. You can do combos and things like that. So building relationships helps you on the battlefield. It also eventually, with certain characters, if you have them fall in love, I'm assuming like most recent Fire Emblem games, there's going to be some sort of event that happens, whether it's a passage of time or some kind of time travel or something, where the offspring of certain characters will now be available to fight for you. And depending on who you match up, that's what their skill sets will be.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they'll do that again. They've done that in every Fire Emblem the last few entries. So anyway, those things are all available, not to mention the fact that battling, in my opinion, is just as good with some improvements as it's ever been. I think the battling is a lot of fun. It's exactly what you expect. You move your character to a spot. You want to use the terrain to your advantage, mountains, forests, things like that. But now if multiple characters are nearby an enemy, you can team up, you can combo attack that way. There's additional, I don't want to give too much away, but there's additional ways you can have your characters work together. Let's put it that way, in the battlefield, which is pretty cool. So I'm really digging what they've done with the battling. The school stuff is pretty fun, but to Derek's point, it certainly does not look like this is some amazing 4K 3D action game as you're running through the school. It's a little bland with the kind of like the stone walls, but the characters look pretty good. They did a good job with the character models are all very unique, very interesting. They each have a backstory. So as you get to know them, they all have like, here's where they came from. They were poor, they were rich, they're angry, they're generally happy or shy, whatever. They all have different characteristics. So pretty interesting the way that they've built this out. And I am also pretty early, but I've put a few hours in and I've had a lot of fun. One thing I'm not sure though is, will the game constantly be ruled by this calendar? Because at times I'm just like, how do I just go battle? I just want to level people up. How do I just get in there and start battling? Maybe that'll happen at some point, but for right now, I'm kind of just at the mercy of the calendar. And if there's training, then we can do that. But one thing you can do as a professor is you have teaching sessions, and you have a certain number of students you can do some one-on-one teaching with or some group teaching with. And you can only do a limited amount for each lecture each week, but you can basically help them increase their stats. And they set their own semester goals, and you can either help them reach those goals or you can try to convince them to set different goals. It all depends on what classes you want them to have, because yet again, like all Fire Emblems, there are dozens of character classes and then master classes to choose from. So this game is pretty wide open, and I feel like even one full playthrough, you probably won't even get half of what the game has to offer. It's one of those types of games. So I'm really, really digging it. I like it a lot, but it's a lot. So that's why I'm glad to have something like this Doom trilogy to jump back and just shoot some demons a little bit before I get back to the more in-depth game like Fire Emblem.
Indeed.
Yeah, so I like it. I would say what I was doing while I was listening to you, but what I was doing But it reminded me as you started talking about like the academies and the schools and professors and blah blah blah. It reminded me of the Legend of Heroes: Trails of the Cold Steel.
Oh yeah, you told me
It
about
sounds
that.
like that.
Yeah,
That's a
so
turn-based.
yeah, I really like those games, and no, I haven't
RPG.
beaten them or anything like that, but I would play them whenever they come out. And I actually do want to get them
real quick. Is there 2 of those or 3 of those?
The third one's coming out, right?
Yeah,
the third
I think
one's
it
coming
is. Okay,
The second one just released on the PS4.
got it.
So June 4th, 2019. So both of them are now on the PS4. So at some point I will get them when they're cheaper. They're only $39.99 right now, but when I say cheaper, I want them when they're like $15-$20. But anyways, those games were really, they remind me of when I'm playing Fire Emblem. It reminds me of those games because even like graphically, the color palette, the academies, the overall like everything kind of reminds me of Fire Emblem, or reminds me of those as far as that goes. As far as combat, they are turn-based, but I would say Fire Emblem with the strategy part is different. But
they would both be turn-based, just one's an RPG and one's an RTS, right? So.
Yeah. But there's a lot of similarities there. But I do prefer Fire Emblem over those. I for some reason just get hooked to the Fire Emblem games. Like I honestly, when I first found out about the Switch Fire Emblem game, so this was like 2 years ago they announced it or something like that. They were saying, a Switch Fire Emblem game's being made, and I was like, yes, this is what I've always wanted. I don't really like playing these games on the 3DS or 2DS and stuff like that. I would love to have one on the Switch so I can play it on my TV and stuff. So I was super excited. But as you know, I've progressed into becoming a non-gamer. My hype dropped off huge, and even with the release of this game, I was not that hyped. And the reason why is I was like, "Are you really gonna play it? Like, are you really gonna play it?" And once I finally got to sit down with it tonight and played probably about an hour and a half total today, I was like, "Man, I could get lost in this game. There's something about this game that I just enjoy." Compared to some other RPGs, I'll start them and I'm like, after like an hour or so, I'm like, I don't really care. I don't want to invest 40 to 70 hours. Am I going to beat this game? I already know I'm not going to beat this game because it's too long. But for some reason, Fire Emblem games suck me in. So I'm excited about this one. I think this could potentially be the best one. I'd like to see what the plot's all about. Right now, I'm interested. I like the setup, but I haven't gotten deep enough into. I've only seen the villain like once, and I have no idea what the heck he's about. But he is cool looking. I can't say that.
Well,
I would say
the cutscenes they've had, this animated cutscenes, are really high quality.
Yeah, everything's really well done.
Yeah,
I would say, Daniel, this game really is up your alley. I don't know
for sure.
why you haven't bought it, and that kind of makes you stupid, in my opinion. But
I mean, I'm definitely stupid, but you're stupider, so that's fine.
oh, cool. We're having a great, dumber conversation.
This is some witty banter, guys. Well done.
Well
God,
done.
your
We're
stupid
getting,
face. I just want to slap you in your dumb, stupid face.
So far, we've had me laughing at an inside joke that you guys hate and don't care about, and us calling you dumber and dumber.
Yeah,
dumber,
you're just
dumber.
you dumb, ugly, stupid face.
But I would say this is definitely a game up your alley.
Yeah. Oh, obviously.
If you're busy with making your dumb levels on Mario Maker 2 that you can't afford this game or don't have time for it, then I can understand. But at some point, you got to buy this game.
I mean, the thing for me with like RTSs is like they're generally even longer than like a traditional RPG, and it's like that. Just I don't know. There's just something daunting about them that I'm just like I don't know.
So I'll speak to that real
Fire
quick.
Emblem games aren't though.
Normally,
No. I always thought that they were
in
super long.
It depends. If you do every little side thing, yeah. I mean, there's a ton you can dig into, or you can just decide, hey, I'm going to do one playthrough. That's the experience. That's my character story, and I'm done. I'm not going to do all the side stuff. You could probably, I'm going to guess here, anywhere from 35 to 45 hours probably isn't out of the range of realism. But I will say it kind of depends on the settings as well. If you decide I'm up for a challenge and I want permadeath, then you might find yourself redoing a lot of battles. If you go ahead and just say, you know what, I want it on a normal or maybe even easier setting, and I'm going to turn off permadeath. That way, if I lose my favorite character, I don't feel like I have to restart the whole battle. as long as you kind of just make peace with going with those settings, you might find that it's not that long of a game to get through. I don't know how long this one is, but
Yeah.
Yeah, they say 80 hours per house, but I imagine, again, like Tim was saying, that's if you're planning on running around and exploring and doing every side quest and stuff like that. If you're kind of like in the beginning, I'll do that, but I know me, I'll get to a place where I'm like, okay, just get me to the main battles, get me to the main battles, get me to the
like
main
for the
battles.
instruction, you can go into each individual character and really dig into how you want them to be trained, or there's an option to auto instruct. And so I can imagine that's going to save you a lot of time. So if there's things like that they have. And there's also auto combat too, by the way. And so if you just tell a character in general, charge or retreat or hold your ground or whatever, and then just let them control themselves, that makes the turns a little faster too, if you want to do it that way. So they've added some features like that were not in previous.
Some quality of life.
Yeah.
Changes.
As far as turn-based strategy games go, it's right at the top of any other ones that are out there. As far as turn-based strategy goes,
I really just want a new Final Fantasy Tactics game, and I don't understand why they haven't made one.
Dude, if you and I know maybe I know that you like those games, and I'm telling you, outside of the Final Fantasy skinning, this feels very much like in that same vein.
Well, it's
really
super
does.
Japanese and anime, so I mean,
and
that's
it's got
right
tons
up
of
my alley. So
tons of classes, like kind of like the job system. We got the class system, and so it's got a lot of similarities there.
It's by no means a game that I know that I wouldn't enjoy. I for sure know I would, but it is a time thing, and I guess I just was under the impression that pretty much every Fire Emblem game was 100 hours. So
No.
It can be if you decide to keep doing that.
No.
Yeah. Also, there, just for anyone who's listening who's curious, none of these are connected. We've talked about this before, but none of them are connected. You can play any of the Fire games and any Fire Emblem games in any order you want. The only thing that you'll experience is if you play them out of order, you might experience a loss of some feature that you like in a newer one, and you go back to an older one.
Well, wasn't the last two 3DS ones actually connected? But those were the only ones?
Correct. Yeah. Well, because they were released like in conjunction, the Conquest or the
It was like was it two different families or something like that? Yeah, kind of Pokemon style. Right. Yeah. But that's about it.
So I'm loving it so far. I'll give you more thoughts as I get farther into the game, and kind of like Derek, I wonder, is this a game that I will really play a lot, and then all of a sudden I'll just fall off and come back to it in a year or so, or is this one that I will play all the way through the end? I don't know, but right now I absolutely love it. I think it's some healthy changes for the franchise. It's some good stuff. I like it a lot.
Good.
All right, so let's talk about the Mount Rushmore of gaming. This is one of the things that GameScoop did that I'm absolutely stealing. So one of the things that Damon explained was that, hey, each president was selected by the artist for a specific reason to represent one of four aspects of U.S. history. So Washington was selected to represent the birth of the country, Jefferson for growth, Theodore Roosevelt for development, and Abe Lincoln for preservation. And so what they did as a group, and the reason I want to do this too is because I think it's interesting, but also because I thought their answers kind of sucked. But shots fired, GameScoop. I know you're listening. But
we're way better anyway.
So I would say, I think they tried to go with characters, and it was a little bit weird, and they ended up just essentially selecting a bunch of Nintendo characters, and I thought that was not exactly the best way to do this. So I thought, what about video game, or even you could just say this franchise represents either birth, growth, development, or preservation of video games. Okay. So, just wanted to get some ideas from you guys. What do you think would best represent the birth of the video game industry?
For me, it's Mario. Yeah. I know there was games before it, but I feel like Mario really birthed the popularity of the start of popularity,
like video games as we know it.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, you could say like Defender or Centipede or Pong or something like that, but those were pretty niche back in the day. I think I'm with you. I think Mario was the start of video games as we know them today.
Absolutely. When the public started to see him and go, okay, these are unique and cool, and parents started buying video games for kids, it was Mario that kind of kick-started that.
So Mario, I think I figured we might agree on that one. So Mario being the birth of video games.
How about interpreting the birth of video games in a different way? How about picking Sonic and saying the birth of the first video game rivalry?
Now, so that would actually... That would actually
I was
be
expecting
interesting.
that
which,
answer.
Which Sonic would you put on there? The one from the first movie trailer or the original
Yeah,
Sonic?
no,
Yeah.
absolutely the first one.
Put his like big teeth in there and stuff, and his eyes all spread
No,
apart.
for sure. And his like weird, long, odd-shaped legs,
Oh, so
like that.
strange. And he's kind of naked. I don't know.
Yeah, he's very naked.
But so if Mario is our George Washington, then who would be our slave-owning Jefferson?
For me, it's Grand Theft Auto 3.
For growth. Oh, interesting. Explain that one. I like that.
So to me, like I said, Mario kind of kickstarted, the birth of video games becoming more accepted in the public and parents starting to buy it. GTA 3 to me represents when video games really blew up. Like, I'm not talking like Mario kind of just like, hey, these are acceptable. Some people play them, whatever, kids play them. GTA 3 was like when it branched out beyond kids and teenagers, and it just kind of blew up to now. I remember, you guys probably remember this, like whenever PlayStation launched games, and like after a year they would release like, what was it called? Like the Platinum Edition, which represented that game sold 1 million copies, right?
It'd be like $20 or something.
Yeah, and see, GTA 3 kind of like destroyed, like Platinum used to be this huge thing. Like 1 million copies is amazing. Like even if you sold 200,000, you were successful. And GTA 3 kind of destroyed that. Like it laughed at 1 million because it really blew up. And I just remember everybody talking about that game. Like, do you remember when I did and all this? Like it became where people were freely talking about video games and really blew up numbers wise. And it and impacted the growth. That's what I'm kind of getting at. Impacted the growth of the industry. It went from being something that I think was behind movies and music to now video games actually are get more money than movies and music for the most part.
I like that pick. Daniel, what would you put for growth if you had to select?
Derek keeps taking all the easy ones. Stupid
Your
jerk.
mom's easy.
Okay, well, you're lucky I can't throw that back at you.
I don't know. I feel like I'm thinking about growth. And I had industry as we know it, and I keep going back to Final Fantasy VII for this one.
Well, I mean that's a good choice as well. I mean, as far as like when you're trying to look back at it now, though, like visually it looks like hot garbage, but it definitely pushed the RPG genre like forward like a lot. Yeah, that was like the first like main RPG that a lot of people who never played an RPG before played, and
it was mainstream in a way that games, at least RPGs, weren't before.
I mean, it's getting a remake, like, and that's like almost the remake itself is almost a bigger deal than what the original was.
Yeah,
in a way.
Well, also it'd be a little easier to represent that on this Mount video game or whatever we're going to call it, because Mario, of course, put his big mustachioed mug up there.
Sure.
For GTA 3, Tommy Vercetti is a little bit of a everyman from New York with a leather jacket. Like he doesn't really have that distinct of a look. But if we threw Cloud up there, I feel like.
That spiky hair. Yeah,
that spiky hair, maybe even just the edge of his sword coming out behind the mountain. That'd be cool.
Sure. A Buster sword would be nice.
But the GTA 3 argument's a hard one to shake. I mean, that introduced the open world element the way we know it, like this mission-based open world experience.
So when I think of growth for games, I'm thinking storytelling. So what kind of comes to mind, would you say that's like been such like a big impact as far as storytelling in games? Like honestly, I kind of go towards Quantic Dream. I know a lot of people are like, oh, Quantic Dream, David Cage, he's just so full of it. And like, he's trying to be a guy who writes movies, who writes games. But like, I'm with Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls, and Detroit Become Human, right? Yeah. The storytelling in that to me was amazing, and all of them. I know a lot of people didn't like Beyond Two Souls nearly as much. I actually really love that one. I think the storytelling was fantastic in all of them and mind blowing.
If the gameplay had been better, I would say whether it'd be either those or even the Walking Dead games could be up for the discussion there, because they took storytelling to the next level. But
see that's where you're like, okay, storytelling. I understand your perspective. Storytelling's great. You want to see it improve in video games, but when you're using examples of like Quantic Dreams or even The Walking Dead, stuff like that, storytelling is really good, but they play like a movie. Like they play like a movie that you just have to push a button to activate. And to me, that's you want to find like the middle ground, and I
Right.
don't think those games really do it for me.
So I can't
I was-
decide between GTA 3 and Final Fantasy 7 for growth necessarily.
Well, it's perspective. I think GTA 3, I'm talking from a financial and even gameplay standpoint.
Totally gameplay.
GTA
Yes.
3 completely revolutionized video gaming. Final
mean-
Fantasy 7 did it more for RPGs, whereas I think GTA 3 did it for gaming.
You know how I feel about Final Fantasy, but in this case, I actually agree with Derek. It would
GTA
probably be
3.
yeah, because I mean that was the game that made it like possible for everyone to be like, oh, this is how open world games can be in a 3D space, like that in actually Super Mario 64 too. We're kind of I just realized that one that's kind of
I thought of
up
that
there as
too.
well.
Do you guys
Yeah.
remember that moment? At least, and I think I've shared this before, but I'll share it again. I still remember that moment when we brought the N64 home and fired up Mario 64, and this idea of having a depth of field with this control stick that you could run in a 3D circle.
Oh yeah,
that was brand new. I mean, I
Yeah.
never experienced that before, so that was really, really surreal.
yeah,
And you can control his speed with how far you press the analog stick. I mean, dude, that was pretty life-changing. But we've already got Mario on there for birth. I think it's a valid argument for growth because it introduced 3D gaming.
Yeah.
3D platforming at least. But I like GTA 3. I like throwing Tommy Vercetti up on this mountainside here for growth. I think that's good. So development is an interesting one. And by the way, these don't have to be in order. So it could be a development or preservation. Could be one before these. Keep in mind that Lincoln was way before Roosevelt. So anyway, it's not in a certain order. So for development, I just think of it's similar to growth in a certain way, but it's also, I mean, there's some differences there too. And so growth is a little bit earlier on, like introducing a new genre, right? Development is taking that new genre and making something, like doing something that you never expected with it. So think of Mario 64, but then other 3D platformers, other Mario games, and the like.
Well, not to be
new things.
Not to be redundant with Rockstar, then, but I would pick Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah, for development, that'd be a good example of a development.
So I'm gonna go a little different, and you guys can say no because it's not a game. But when I think of development, and especially even more when Tim kind of explained what he meant by development, I said Xbox Live, and the reason why is I feel like that kind of took gaming to, like, here you are, you've got gaming for single player, but everybody's wanting to play together. They're like thinking in their heads, this would be so cool if I could connect with my friend who lives in another state or whatever. And Xbox Live kind of did that. It kind of developed this new way of playing together, where we don't have to go to each other's houses. We can be connected while not being in there. So I know it's not a video game, but I was thinking it's a video game service that helped develop video games and took them even further than what we were.
But I mean, what went hand in hand with Xbox Live? It was Halo.
Yeah.
So I feel like Halo could be a great representation of development, and I think the case you could make there is that first-person shooters already existed. Yeah. So first-person shooters were already there, but you can make the argument that Halo took everything you knew about first-person shooters and took it up a step. It improved it in just about every way, and it took it online in a way that very few people had experienced before, especially in the mainstream, and introduced, like you said, Xbox Live and the ability to connect. You know, people talk about Halo LAN parties. So I guess this could be a Halo and Halo 2 combo, you know. But part of me thinks throwing Master Chief up on this mountain would make complete sense, and specifically on this area. But I'm not like locked into it, but I feel like he would make sense up there.
I mean, it hurts my soul to have anything Xbox pertaining to this hypothetical mountain, but that's fine.
Hypothetical, dude. I'm going to start chiseling tonight.
Sure. I mean, you live somewhere that's mountainous, right?
So I do. I'm about to go start knocking some faces into the walls.
There you go.
Sounds good. I'm sure your wife supports that.
Yeah, she does. She does. She likes the way I spend my time.
I'll be back in like a few months. I gotta go chisel a mountain.
So I don't disagree with you on the Red Dead Redemption 2 front in that it's taken everything that we know about open world storytelling and just improved it in every way. But I feel like other games took bigger steps earlier.
Yeah. Or like Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild.
I don't think I can look at an open world game differently since that, because like now every game, like, because what was it, Horizon Zero Dawn came out around that time, and I was like, why can't I just climb on every wall like how I want to climb on it, just like in Breath of the Wild? Like, this doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
Breath of the Wild and Skyrim kind of in that same bucket of.
I think
Yeah.
some people, especially with how much hype Breath of the Wild got before a lot of people, even in our group, played it, a lot of people hated on it because they're like, it's such a bland world, blah, blah, blah. And they kind of miss why people were hyping the game. And we talked about it on our show. The game, I would pick Breath of the Wild over Red Dead Redemption 2. Not just because I like the game better, just because of what I'm about to say now. The game was so intelligent. It was all the little things it did, not just climbing wherever you want. Yeah, that was super cool. But it was also like the intelligence of the battles and the confrontations you had.
Right.
The intelligence of like the world and how it knew, like, for example, like if you went into a cold area and you were wearing, a bikini top and bikini bottom, you froze to death. The game knew, like, hey, you're not wearing proper attire. So It was just a really intelligent game that I think a lot of players in our group, not all over the internet, obviously, it's a very loved game, but I think they missed the point. I think they were like, oh, this open world game's empty and boring. And it's like, that's not what we were hyping. What we were hyping is how you're just this little boy setting off on this adventure, and the game world around you is extremely intelligent, is aware of you, and you're aware of it. And that, to me, is something that most games didn't do. So I definitely think that's another good one. I would still put Master Chief up there over him, just because of, like we said, not only is it strong first person for story and campaign, but it's also the one that really kicked off online multiplayer for first person
Games
shooters.
are still copying what Halo did.
Yeah.
Games now are still copying what Halo did. Now you can make the argument that games are currently and will continue to copy things like Breath of the Wild and Skyrim, right? There's been Skyrim clones like crazy since that came out, and there will be Breath of the Wild clones like crazy since that came out. But I wonder if for preservation, as I'm looking at these other categories, so we got development, the preservation. I wonder if Xbox Live would make sense there, because think about the way we've been able to continue to experience older games, like basically build these huge collections of games in ways that we couldn't before because of this online gaming growth, the way that they've built a way for us to preserve. Here's your account. Here's your online library. Here's everything you own. You're able to preserve it in a certain. Others might say, well, you don't really own it. As soon as their system goes down, it's gone, and so it's not really preservation. So okay, that's a valid argument. But I guess when I look at it, I would say without that service, I would not have the ability to play through all of these kind of old school classics the same way that we can today. But I wonder if Xbox Live, and represented by Halo, could sit under preservation because of the way that it changed the way that we are able to continue to play games. And then something like a Breath of the Wild could sit under development because of what it did to essentially 3 major genres of games, and really kind of took a new throw Link up there, for Breath of the Wild, and then throw Master Chief up there for preservation.
Literally, you are a Nintendo bot, because that would put Mario and Link up there. And
it's Nintendo.
We're not so sexist because we're talking about Zelda games, but we're putting Link up there and we're not putting Zelda up
We could put Link up there, and then we're underneath it, right? This is Zelda.
Wait, you don't play as Zelda in those games? No?
Yeah. Shocking.
No? Oh, man. Jesus. Yeah. My mind is blown right now.
I actually agree, though. I think development, you could go with Breath of the Wild, and then preservation, you could go with Halo. Slash Xbox Live, but you can't chip a picture of Xbox Live.
Sure. I'm just gonna chip in a 5th face though, and I'm gonna put Cloud up there just because. So
yeah. I mean, he's a more recognizable face than a Tommy Vercetti, but I think it's fair to say GTA 3 did more for the growth of the video game industry in one fell swoop, probably than any game before or since. And I could be totally wrong on that. Maybe there's some dollar amounts out there that can prove that wrong. But it just feels like, this is just very anecdotal from my experience, it feels like games went to the next level in terms of people's awareness of them. A much broader audience came to them with stuff like GTA 3. And I guess you could probably make an argument for something like Madden and things like that. Okay, those probably opened, or Call of Duty, right? Those things brought a wider audience in a certain way, but GTA 3 did something special, man.
It's not even about the sales. It's just what it did and the time it came out on the PS2, mind you. Like when you look back, it's like the PS2 is whatever compared to what we have now. But
yeah,
I still remember the first time I went over to my brother's apartment. He and his, at the time, newlywed wife were living in a small apartment in town. I went over there. He was like, "You got to come try this game." I didn't have a PS2 yet. I was still playing old systems like an idiot. And so anyway, he shows me GTA 3, and next thing I know, several hours had passed, and his new wife is going, "How long is he going to be here?" You know what I mean? Like I was so hooked. The idea of you can just walk anywhere you want to go. You can do whatever you want. You can steal any car you want. You can get missions from that guy and from that guy, and it was just mind blowing.
Run people over and pick up.
I mean, I put so many hours in that game.
Ladies of the night, yeah.
Me and my roommate at the time, we both worked at Sam's Club, and I just remember one day I walked over to him, and I felt like I was high, and I didn't do drugs. I never did drugs. And I looked at him, and I was like,
high off life, man.
I don't know why. And I wasn't doing this to be cool. I seriously felt this way. I was like, I feel drawn to that fire truck. Like, I just want to jump in it and, like, let's just drive off. Because that's all we did. Like, we played the story missions, but for the most part, we would just trade off the controller, and we would just wreck as much havoc.
What kind of havoc can I cause?
Yeah. And
That's
so
always the goal.
every time I would see a cop car or something, I looked at them differently because I played so many hours of GTA 3.
Well, it introduced us to the idea of experimenting in a game like that. Like, how high can I get my wanted level? What happens if what happens if I hide in a building and all the cops are on top of a building, and all the cops and helicopters come after me? What's the game gonna do? So
5 stars was, the military shows up. That is just, it was like, how long can I hide behind this dumpster and survive the 5 stars?
Yep, and of course, it's clear that games like Vice City and then GTA 5 and others have taken that and blown it way out of proportion. It's huge now, right? But GTA 3, I mean, more so than probably any other game, I think, spurred on incredible growth in the video game industry. I think that was one of the main reasons that the PS2 dominated the way that it did. I mean, there's other reasons too, but I think that's one of them.
Oh, absolutely.
GTA 2 is a major factor there too. And then development, having Breath of the Wild there, I think is really good. Yes, that does give us 50% Nintendo characters on the wall, but hey, every major company, at least of the current 3 consoles, is represented. You've got Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft, just in terms of games that were associated with those systems, at least.
Because GTA 3 didn't come out Xbox until like way later. It was a PS3 or PS2 exclusive.
Did it ever come to the original Xbox?
It did.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It did. Yeah.
Just took a little while. Yeah,
It came out like in a collection. Like, so Vice City was out. Like, it took a while. Like, GTA 3 was exclusive to the PS2 for a long time.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people I knew about PS2s was just for that game.
Indeed.
That's all they wanted. All right, well, we are wrapping up not only this episode, but also the month of July. I wanted to give everyone a quick preview of the month of August before we get out of here. For some reason, I thought that August 13th was going to be Daemon X Machina, but apparently that's September 13th. I got that date wrong, which is a bummer for them because that's Borderlands 3. But anyway, we'll talk about that one later. Yeah. But for August, there are a handful of games that seem pretty interesting. Of course, on August 2nd, we get our Madden NFL 20 coming out to PC, PS4, and Xbox One. It seems a little early for a Madden game, but maybe...
I was going to say it's way earlier than normal.
Seems like it, but of course, NFL Fever is starting to pick up some steam now that training camps are underway, and you're starting to see more and more news about them. The HBO show Hard Knocks will get going here pretty soon, so NFL chatter is starting to pick up, of course, so it's a good time for them to release that game. There's this game called The Church in the Darkness that I saw that's releasing that same day, coming out to all platforms. It's a top-down stealth game where you're infiltrating this religious cult in the 70s, and it looks kind of interesting.
That does sound interesting.
Yeah, so that one seems kind of cool. It was announced a while ago, and it is just now releasing next week. So if you want to go infiltrate a religious cult in the 70s and probably kill a lot of them, go for it. Age of Wonders Planetfall, I believe, is a new entry in that series, coming to PC later in the year, coming to PS4 and Xbox One. Pillars of Eternity, I'm pretty sure it's the complete edition with all the additional stuff, coming to Switch on August 8th.
That's a good game for the Switch.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good one to have on the go for folks who are interested in that. There's a few others between the 8th and the 20th, but nothing that really jumped out at me. A few re-releases, a couple HD versions of stuff here and there. But then I saw there's this roguelike game from Double Fine called Rad coming out to all platforms on August 20th. So if that sounds interesting to you, if you like silly stuff from Double Fine and you like roguelikes, go check out Rad. The style does look pretty cool.
It sounds rad, Tim.
It does sound The style looks pretty interesting. And then August 22nd, of course, is the game we already talked about a bit, Oninaki, which the demo is available currently. That's from RPG Tokyo Factory under Square Enix or Enix?
Enix, yeah.
August 27th, Control.
I'm actually super excited about this one.
Yeah, from Quantic Dream, right? Isn't that who
Yeah.
made that?
Yep. No, not Quantic. Shoot, not Quantic Dream because that's
Remedy.
Remedy. There you go.
Remedy. Okay, thank you. Remedy. Yeah,
Thank
Quantic
God
Dream.
the guy that doesn't play video games actually knows video games.
I'm just glad you got to contribute today. Okay.
Look, dude,
Thanks for
I
your
built
effort.
most of the faces on your little fake mountain crap.
That's true. So Control comes to PC, PS4, and Xbox One on August 27th, the same day that PC gamers will get to play Ancestors, the Humankind Odyssey, this really strange-looking game that some people are pumped about. It's supposed to come out in December to PS4 and Xbox One, but PC gamers will get their hands on it on August 27th.
Sounds like a nerds game.
I'm pretty sure you like Control monkeys, or at least
Oh, that one. Okay.
if not monkeys, then like the caveman type dudes.
You're actually going through the evolution, like you're
That's what
playing
it
through
looks
the
like.
evolution of them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. So
Yeah.
I don't
Nerd
know.
game.
Well, I'm curious to see what critics think of it.
Yeah.
And then August 30th is a pretty busy day. You've got Astral Chain coming out to your Nintendo Switch.
Nice.
Really anticipating good reviews there, so I can go ahead and buy it. But I'm waiting to drop the money on it till I know that it's getting good reviews, or at least decent reviews. Blair Witch comes out, and it's interesting. I saw it was only releasing that I could find on PC and Xbox One, but I'm pretty sure it's coming to PS4. I'm not positive though.
It was during the Xbox conference that they showed it, right? So
I don't know if it's console exclusive. I'm not sure.
time exclusive, yeah.
But Blair Witch is dropping on those two on PC and Xbox One August 30th. And then that same day across the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC, you could also play the Dark Pictures first entry in their series, and that's The Man of Medan. And that's from the folks who made that PS4 exclusive horror game Until Dawn.
Yes.
This is their new series of the Dark Pictures, and this is their first entry called Man of Medan or Medan.
I think it's Madan.
No, it's not.
Man of Madan.
You just wanted it to sound like your name.
I swear, I'm pretty sure it's
Man of Medaniel.
Man of Madan. Man of Madan.
All right, so August has some interesting stuff in there. The one that jumps out to me, just because I've played the demo recently and I'm really digging it, is Oninaki. And then, of course, Astral Chain looks interesting to me, too. I'm hopeful that Platinum Games will deliver. I'm feeling optimistic that they will, based on the stuff that I'm seeing and hearing. But we will.
I think you should check out. I don't know if you haven't been looking at anything for Control. I think you should check out some stuff for Control. That game, I think, is going to be a sleeper hit, as they call it.
Is Greedfall that month too, or is that later?
September 10th.
September. Okay, man. September.
So my thing with Control, because I really like Remedy. I liked Alan Wake a lot, which Daniel, if you weren't a POS, you could have played Alan Wake and probably would have liked it a lot.
Well, I'm smart and I buy good systems, so that's fine.
Jeez.
But anyway, so Remedy makes good games. So they're Max Payne, Alan Wake, and so on. So Control, I automatically was like, okay, you guys, you have my attention. It's Remedy. But the preview that I watched, I think it was from IGN, and they went into, like, the guy had played it for a long time, and he's like, this is a superb game, blah, 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 but it's really difficult. And it sounds like they've also borrowed some things from, like, Dark Souls as far as how you die and you lose crap. And I'm like, oh, my God. Like, again, don't get me wrong, and I talked about this last week. Like, I like Dark Souls, and I love Bloodborne and all that stuff, but I don't want every game to be that way. Like, I want to just sometimes play a game. Granted, this is just what I was hearing from him. It sounded like it was going to be a pretty difficult game, and I just don't have patience for difficult games. So I'm like, and I do remember what was the last one Remedy released on Xbox? Another Xbox exclusive.
Was that the Quantum Break?
Yes, I was trying to remember.
Maybe that's
I wanted
why
to say Quantum Dream.
Yeah.
I got Quantum Dream mixed up. Anyway.
Yeah,
Oh, very
so
good.
Quantum Break was a fun game, but it also had frustrating parts because of difficulty, especially the last boss. And I'm not the only person complaining about it. If you go right on any big group that played that game, so if you go into like the IGN Xbox Unlocked group and you talk about that game, you'll get several people who are like, I love that game, but you will get a lot of people like, I loved it until the last boss. So there's some things with Remedy's games where they just spike the difficulty and it's annoying. And so that's my biggest concern with Control is I'm not going to be able to enjoy the story and the gameplay if I'm getting frustrated all the time. So I am going to wait a little bit more on that. But if I get it, I probably will get it on the Xbox One. That way Tim can play it, because I do think it's something you would enjoy.
Yeah.
Cool.
I would check out Derek. I would check out the Easy Allies preview. They went over it. I don't remember them saying anything about the difficulty. I think most of the things they had to say were positive, but I don't remember.
I mean, 99% of the things he said were positive. I don't even think he said the dying as a negative thing. I think he just was warning players like, hey, you're going to die. Like, things are going to get overwhelming, and then the checkpoints, I think, are kind of annoying is what he was trying to say. Yeah. He was, like, warning you. But I am excited for that one, but I'm probably for August, if you told me to pick one, I would say right now it's probably Astral Chain, but that's just because I don't know enough about it. Like, I think as we get closer, we'll see. That one's still, I don't know. But I think Oninaki, Control, and Astral Chain are the three I'm going to end up walking away with. And I would have bought Man of Medan. But I'm not into those type of scary games, so I doubt I'll play that one.
All right. Don't worry, little girl. We'll play them for you. So.
Appreciate it.
No problem.
So Dan's going to be your man.
I'll be your man of my day.
All right, well, that does it for us for this week. Thank you guys for listening to episode 172. Derek and Dan, thanks for taking breaks from your busy schedules. Dan with your traveling and Derek with your dating and whatnot.
Indeed.
Hey, how you doing, huh?
No, don't ever do that.
I think I need a vacation from Derek is what I need.
Don't.
You just started, bro. You're the worst. Like,
Derek, just fire me.
New hire ever. We're not even in our 90 days, and you're the
Tim,
worst.
just fire me, please. Just fire.
Guys, I might not be able to make it to record. I might have to call out this weekend.
Okay.
No, you don't call out when you first get hired on. You just come in deathly ill.
Hey.
And you let your bosses send you home.
Yeah,
you don't,
right.
Like, already message them. Hey guys, I may not be there.
Hey, face, you're not my boss, all right? I was saving that for the end, Tim. So there you go. You know it's towards the end.
I appreciate it.
Tim, do we really need that type of negative energy on our show? I mean, I've always been extremely positive. You've been a positive person. I just don't know if we need this right now.
You've been a positive pin in the butt.
I haven't even heard of most of what you're saying because I'm still disturbed by Derek blowing kisses to us.
Sure. Yeah, that's true.
Hey, how you doing?
All right. We're out of here. See you guys next time.
All right, bye.
Who is your daddy? I am the father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?